Most home gardeners who try fruit for the first time pick the wrong plant entirely. Not because they don't care, but because nobody explains what a first fruit plant actually needs to deliver. One plant handles that better than almost anything else you can grow at home. And it fits a pot, a balcony shelf, a small backyard corner, or even a windowsill. That plant is the strawberry. Welcome to PlantERLab, where smart growers discover plant ideas that actually make sense. In this video, we are going to go deeper than the usual strawberry advice. We are going to explain why strawberry works as a first fruit plant at a practical level, what it actually delivers for space, effort, and reward. We will cover care reality, daily use value, and one specific advantage that most new growers completely overlook until they have already been growing for a season or two. That overlooked advantage changes how you think about the strawberry plant entirely. If you want more practical plant ideas built around real usefulness, subscribe to PlantERLab. Now, before we get into why strawberry works so well, we need to understand why most first fruit choices go wrong. When most home gardeners decide to grow fruit for the first time, they usually think about one thing: what fruit do I want to eat? That is a completely reasonable starting point. But it is only half of the decision, and it is actually the less important half. The more important question is, what does this plant need, and does my space, time, and setup realistically match that? Most beginners who try citrus, mango, or full-size berry bushes early on run into the same problem. The plant needs more space than expected, more time before it produces anything, more consistent care than a busy home allows, and more patience than a new grower has built up yet. The result is frustration, abandoned containers, and the feeling that fruit growing just isn't for them. The real problem was not the grower, it was the plant choice. A smart first fruit plant should do at least 4 things. It should fit a realistic home growing space, it should respond quickly enough to keep a new grower motivated, it should reward consistent but not obsessive care, and it should give the grower enough practical result to justify the effort. Strawberry delivers on all 4 of those things better than most fruit plants in its size category. The first practical reason strawberry works so well for home growers is scale. Strawberry is genuinely compact. A single plant can thrive in a container as small as 20 to 30 centimeters wide. That means you are not committing a large raised bed or a dedicated garden patch to a single plant that may or may not fruit well in year 1. You can grow strawberries in a window box, a hanging basket, a terracotta pot on a balcony shelf, a tiered planter on a small patio, or a row of individual pots along a sunny wall. That kind of flexibility is not common among fruit plants. Most fruit trees and larger berry bushes need considerable ground or container space before they settle in and produce reliably. Strawberry skips that barrier almost entirely. The second reason is light. Strawberries grow well in full sun but can still produce reasonably in a bright, partly shaded spot, depending on the variety. For a home grower with a balcony that gets 4 to 6 hours of direct sun daily, strawberry is one of the most honest options available. That is not the case with fruit plants like citrus or peach, which typically need more consistent full sun to produce well in containers. The third reason is root depth. Strawberry has a relatively shallow root system, which makes container growing genuinely suitable rather than just technically possible. Many fruit plants tolerate containers only reluctantly and decline over time as their root needs outgrow the pot. Strawberry settles into a well-chosen container and performs naturally without constant pot upgrades. The fourth reason is accessibility. Because strawberry plants stay low and manageable, the care tasks, checking the soil, watering, removing old leaves, checking for pests, are all easy to do regularly. A low, accessible plant tends to get better care than a tall or unwieldy one. That matters more than most new growers realize when they are building a growing habit. One of the most underappreciated factors in home growing is motivation. A new grower who goes months without seeing any clear result from their plant will often lose interest. That is not weakness. It is a completely natural response when the feedback loop is too long. Strawberry shortens that loop significantly compared to most fruit plants. Under reasonable growing conditions, strawberries typically begin flowering in their first or second growing season. Once the flowers set and the fruit develops, the harvest window arrives relatively quickly compared to fruit trees, which often require multiple years before producing any edible fruit at all. This early feedback keeps new growers engaged and gives them something concrete to observe, tend, and enjoy within a realistic time frame. The harvest itself also adds daily use value that goes beyond novelty. Homegrown strawberries, picked ripe, tend to taste noticeably different from commercially grown fruit that is harvested early and transported. For many home growers, that first genuinely ripe strawberry from their own plant is the moment the whole growing habit clicks into place. It is not just a decoration or an experiment. It is food that came from something they tended themselves. That connection between care and edible result is one of the strongest motivators in home growing. And strawberry delivers it at a scale and pace that suits the time and space constraints of most home gardeners. Whether you have a single pot on a balcony or a small dedicated patch in a garden corner, the harvest reward arrives early enough to feel worth the effort. That kind of practical payoff is one reason strawberry consistently appears as a recommended first choice among experienced growers who think carefully about beginner success rates. Strawberry care is manageable, but it is worth being clear about what manageable actually means. The plant does not run itself, and skipping basic care steps will affect your harvest. Understanding what the plant genuinely needs from the start is far more useful than being told it is effortless. Watering is the area where most new strawberry growers make their first mistake. Strawberries prefer consistently moist but not waterlogged soil. In containers especially, the soil can dry out faster than you expect in warm weather. So checking the soil moisture regularly is a habit worth building early. At the same time, sitting water in a saucer beneath the pot for extended periods can lead to root issues. Good drainage matters as much as consistent moisture. Feeding is useful but does not need to be complicated. A balanced fertilizer applied during the growing and flowering period supports good fruit development. Many growers use a tomato-type liquid feed during flowering and fruiting, as the potassium content helps the plant produce well. How often you feed will depend on your soil type and container size, but a light regular feed is generally more effective than occasional heavy doses. Sunlight remains one of the most influential factors. The more genuine sun your strawberry plant receives during the growing season, the more reliably it will flower and fruit. If your space only offers partial sun, you will likely still get fruit, but managing expectations is helpful. Some varieties are better adapted to lower light than others, so choosing a variety that suits your actual conditions is a sensible first step, rather than an afterthought. Pest and disease awareness is also useful. Slugs, birds, and gray mold are among the more common challenges strawberry growers encounter. None of these are difficult to manage with basic attention, but they do reward regular observation. Checking your plants often is itself part of the care habit, and it usually means small problems get caught before they become large ones. Earlier in this video, I mentioned an overlooked advantage that most new strawberry growers only discover after their first full season. This is it. The strawberry plant propagates itself through runners, and once you understand how to use that, the strawberry stops being a single plant and starts being a self-expanding growing system, at no extra cost. Let me explain what runners actually are, because the name can sound more complicated than the reality. A runner is a thin horizontal stem that a mature strawberry plant sends out along the soil surface, often after or near the end of the main fruiting period. At intervals along this stem, the plant produces small nodes that, when they make contact with soil, begin developing roots and eventually form an entirely new independent plant. That new plant is genetically identical to the parent. It has the same growth habit, the same flavor characteristics, and the same variety traits. You did not buy it. You did not propagate it through any technical process. The plant made it for you. For a home grower, this is one of the most genuinely useful biological behaviors in common garden plants. Here is how it translates to practical advantage. In your first season, you buy or receive a small number of strawberry plants. perhaps 1, 2, or a few in a simple container arrangement. You grow them, you learn their care rhythms, and you harvest your first fruit. By the end of the season, or in the following one, those plants send out runners. If you let those runners root into additional pots or prepared soil areas, each one becomes a new plant ready for the following season. Within 2 or 3 growing seasons, a single original plant can produce enough runners to fill a sizable container arrangement, a strawberry tower, a hanging basket system, or a dedicated garden row, all from the same starting investment. This dynamic changes the economics of home growing in a meaningful way. Most plants that you want to grow in larger numbers require you to either purchase more plants each season or learn vegetative propagation techniques that take time, tools, and some experience to get right. Strawberry largely removes that barrier. The propagation happens naturally if you simply allow it. Your role is to spot the runners, encourage the node to contact fresh potting mixer soil, pin it lightly in place, wait for it to root, and then sever the connection to the parent plant once the new plant is established. That process is low skill, low cost, and surprisingly satisfying for a new grower who watches it happen for the first time. There is also a practical renewal dimension worth understanding. Strawberry plants typically produce most generously in their first and second years of fruiting. After that, production can gradually decline as the plant ages. Many experienced growers manage this by systematically replacing older plants with the strongest young runner-grown plants every 2 to 3 years. This keeps the bed or container system consistently productive without requiring new purchases. You are essentially running a small self-renewing plant cycle from an initial modest investment. That is a level of long-term growing value that very few plants in the accessible beginner-friendly category can honestly offer. For growers who have any interest in sharing plants with neighbors, family, or a local community, runners also provide a natural opportunity. A surplus of well-rooted young strawberry plants is genuinely useful to other home growers, and it is something you can produce without any specialized equipment or significant effort. It is not a commercial proposition for most home growers, but the social and community dimension of having plants to share is something many experienced growers mention as one of the quiet, underappreciated rewards of working with plants that propagate generously. This is what I meant in the opening of this video when I said one advantage changes how you think about strawberry entirely. It is not just a fruit plant you grow once and replace. It is a plant that, with a little patience and observation, actively expands your growing capacity over time. So here is the honest summary of everything we covered. Strawberry earns its place as one of the best first fruit plants for home gardeners for reasons that go well beyond the obvious. It fits real home conditions, small containers, modest spaces, balconies, and partial sun environments. It gives new growers a harvest reward early enough to keep the growing habit alive. Its care is honest and manageable without being effortless, consistent moisture. Some feeding, good sun, and regular observation are what the plant genuinely needs. And it carries an advantage in runner propagation that most new growers do not anticipate, but almost all of them appreciate once they experience it. Who does strawberry suit best? It suits the grower who wants to start with fruit but does not have space, resources, or confidence for a large-scale planting. It suits the apartment or balcony grower who needs real results from a small footprint. It suits the gardener who wants their first fruit experience to feel rewarding and repeatable rather than frustrating and expensive. And it suits the practical grower who values a plant that gives something back beyond just occupying space. Strawberry is not the perfect plant for every situation. If you have significant ground space and want a high-yield perennial berry crop, other options may be worth exploring alongside it. But for a first fruit plant that teaches you how fruit growing actually works, delivers early results, and builds a living system over time, strawberry is one of the most well-matched choices available to most home gardeners. If this video gave you something useful, please give it a like. It helps this kind of practical content reach more growers who need it. If you are growing strawberries or planning to start, drop a comment and share where you are growing them: balcony, garden, container, or something creative. I always find those real-world setups genuinely interesting. And if you want more plant ideas built around actual usefulness and real growing logic, subscribe to PlantERLab. There is a lot more practical plant thinking coming your way.